All right, so then we're going to take this Raptor pole motor, and just for some purposes of adhesion, when it comes to the flux, we're going to sand it just a little bit. Now this is 400 grit 3M sandpaper. It's not too aggressive, and I like to just rip a little piece off like that. And then what we're going to do is take some more of our Lucky Bobs here. Always remember to put your cap back on your Lucky Bobs when you ain't using it. Now I angle the shaft downward like this, and just put a little like that. And then you want to always screw your lid back on your flux. When this is all said and done too, we're going to clean all this flux off. And it's a pretty easy process, not very hard at all. Like I said, I like to use acetone. So we're going to take about that much solder on the end of our tip. I like to use these big tips here. And then we're going to take it and then roll the motor in it. And you can see that it's tinning that motor shaft there. Nice and thin, and with you angling it down, it makes it to where that it's got just enough thickness on the end of this that it's going to hold this solder on pinion real well. Now what we're going to do real quick is just take a look and see about where we want it. And we can see here we're kind of into the axle here. This is where I'm wanting to talk to you about, if your rules allow it, you can actually come right here where it's crimped and you can cut some of that motor out. And we're going to do that real quick. Might get a little loud, so we're going to pause the video. I'm going to get it done, and then we'll start back here in just a second. All right, so now we've kind of cleaned this up a little bit where that our axle can go in there. It's not the most beautiful job here, but we're not building Rome. You can see some of this ferrite material from where we've cut into it starting to build up here. Now what I like to do is I like to always, when I'm doing that, keep my fingers over the hose so that nothing can get in there. A little extra protection. You can also take some tape and go around here to keep it out. But before we even start this motor, we're going to blow it out with some motor cleaner anyway. Tends to, you just make it have a fresh start, and then once you do that, you put just a dab of oil on this side. You never want to put oil on the other side. That's where your commutator is, and you can get all gunky and clogged up. But in this case, you couldn't anyway. It's sealed off on a Raptor Pro. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take our hands and just wipe that off. Now, you know, it's probably not the best thing having open hand contact like this, but once you get it nice and clean like that, I like to take just a piece of tape. Some people use like Play-Doh and silly putty or something like that to get it off with. Either thing will work, but you just want to get all of that off the best that you can and get that all cleaned out of that groove. And then that way, what the whole purpose of this is so that when we set the motor down here, now we're setting perfectly. Well, it's going upside down this time, but it'll set perfectly right here in that crack. The best way to keep it to where you know that it's not touching the axle is receipt paper from here at Lane's Raceway. I'm going to tell you what thickness it is so you can get it wherever you're at. But the thickness of this is 0025 inch. And I learned this trick from a friend of ours named Milton a while back, and this stuff works great. So you just take it right here at the top, and you can just rip it off in little tiny slivers like that. So what I like to do is, when I'm getting ready to set it up, set that dude just like that, and now we know we at least have 0025 clearance in between that axle, and that gets it really nice and close. But the other use for this is, when we get ready to solder it, of course first we're going to get the pinion started, is for making a perfect mesh here. So what we're going to do is come back with our flux, but this time with your flux brush. This right here is a Ralph Thorne flux brush. We're wanting to take just a little bit of that flux and yet again go on this wood, but we want to grind it down to where it's really, really tiny end on it. And the purpose of that is because we're going to set this pinion on the top, and it's angled. If I can get it to set on top, there we go. Just push down on it just a little bit to get it started. There we go. And that solder from where we tinned it's going to kind of hold it. This is the easiest way to do your pinions too. And then you're going to take that flux brush and you're going to go inside. You don't want to get it on the outside because you run the risk of getting it into the pinion itself. Then you'll have a horrible mesh. It's not good. So we're going to clean the tip on our soldering iron. And this time we just want literally just that much on the end of your soldering tip. And then we're going to take that and we're going to stick it, and you'll hear it bubble and see it bubble here in a second. There it goes. See it bubbling? That means it's working. And then that's going to heat the shaft up, and that's going to allow it to slide right on. We're going to angle that 90 degrees just like that, and we're going to get a nice beautiful bead there on the end. That's how easy it is to solder pinions on motors. So now that that's like that, we want to get our motor set on our chassis, and I like to set it with an angled pinion to where that it's angled perfectly like this. That's the least amount of friction. So there's two ways of getting that perfectly done here. And like I said, we're sitting on a magnetic block, so this is really fighting me here. I'm going to get this paper in here just like that. Now we know we got that set. And the magic part, as I like to call it, is this right here. So we're going to rock that baby back like that. If I can. That magnet is tough. All right, we'll just set it like that. We're going to set that right in where the gear is and make sure that it's where the motor is so we don't hit the axle. You're going to look like this with 2 pieces of tape or 2 pieces of receipt paper. Then we're going to rotate that and push that into it just like that, okay? And with that, we make sure everything's set just right. We're looking good on both sides here. We'll take our flux. I forgot to put the lid back on there, as you guys could tell. And we're gonna try our best. What I really need, it's a Patriot motor brace, 2 of them in a bag there. It looks just like this. You guys probably are familiar with this. But anyways, this thing's gonna go right here on the back. So we're gonna lay that dude like that. Now that we got it like that, and that's just temporary, we're gonna hit a little bit of flux here on the back, just like so. Not hard at all. And the next thing is just going to be mainly just push down pressure, get a little bit of solder. I like to get it on both sides in this aspect here. So you get it on the front side and the back side. This tends to help it flow. And we're going to push this dude straight down like that right there. And then we just take that, let the flux do the work. Nice and easy bead like that. Now with this setting like this, we put a little flux on the back side here. Now this motor is probably going to want to give, so we're going to grab it right there where we've got it held by the magnet. And I'm going to turn this thing over, and we're just going to add just a little bit of flux here so it flows through the other side. Now we're going to lay it right back down. Push the motor down to the bottom of the block. Like I said, this thing can move side to side as long as we got it held here. And we got the receipt paper in front of the motor, so we know that it isn't touching the axle, and that's going to be held. And then we're going to hit it with some solder on the back, right through the hole. But now that it's held, we're going to try to solder it in a few other places just to secure it down. And we can come over here on the other side here. I'm just going to hit it with a little bit of flux. And we'll probably pull this off later once I go to the back side of the motor. This is just to hold it for a second because I didn't have it exactly lined up the way I like. All right, so now we know it's holding. You always want to roll your tire in the direction that your car is going. So if we're going this way, that tire is going to roll over that way. All right, now that you got it that way, you want to take it the way that the car is going. So the car is going to go this way, so that's going to roll the tires over. So then we're just going to roll that mesh right out, just like that. And then we can move that, and we can see now, as you can see, we got gap here in between the axle. We got a good mesh here, nice and smooth. And I ended up, between this video and the previous one, I ended up taking the solder back off the back here, pushing our pinion on just a little bit more to match up just right there in the center with least amount of effort there. And then I ended up tacking it right here alongside the angle of the chassis. So now all we got to do is come here on the back, and I put a little bit of flux there before, but we're going to do it again. Flux is my friend. I know a lot of people don't like to use a lot of flux, but I like it because I clean it up. So take a little bit right here. It just helps the solder to flow, keep everything uniform and nice and pretty. So we'll hit that both sides yet again, and we're just going to go right in that crack and just swipe it right across, just like so. And you see a nice little solder there. Now it's sorted up there. For extra security, you could put a little right here and sort it, but usually there and there is good. And the reason I say that is because eventually this motor is going to wear the brushes out, and you don't want to have to fight this thing left and right to get a motor out. So just those two places are good. Don't wreck your car, okay? And that's pretty much it for setting the gear ratio, or yeah, setting your gear mesh and everything. And that's going to smooth up really nice. You'll probably barely be able to hear this car go around the track. And I may bring a video in the future of this thing fully put together, and you guys will be able to see just how well this thing sounds. Some pretty quiet cars. Now, they're not necessarily the fastest, but they are quiet. So less friction is always a good thing. But anyways, that's Donnie here at Lanes Raceway. Thank you guys.